What really happened during President Trump's meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping? Did China really issue a warning to the United States over Taiwan, or say that the U.S. was a nation in decline? The answer is, there are a lot of words to dissect, but not a lot of facts. So let me explain. President Trump is now preparing to start his second day of meetings with President Xi, but the two met yesterday, and that's where this is all coming from. And before I share everything we know, you need to understand, anytime world leaders meet like this, each side issues what's called a readout. That readout explains to the public what was said and what was agreed to between leaders. Importantly, each side's readout is meant to make its leader look strong and powerful to the people of his country. You understand what I mean? Each readout is going to make their president look like a tough guy. So it's really up to you to decide which side you want to believe, or if you want to believe some things from one and some things from the other. Okay, so here are the readouts from the United States and from China. The White House readout is pretty short and sweet, and this is the lengthy readout from the Chinese Foreign Ministry. Both agree that Trump and Xi discussed ways to enhance economic cooperation between the two countries, and both agreed that the two sides discussed trade, in particular, agricultural trade, though there are some differences about what was actually promised when it comes to agricultural trade. But that's about it. The readout from the White House says the two talked about China allowing American businesses to do more business in China and about continuing to end the flow of fentanyl. Then the White House said that Trump and Xi agreed that the Strait of Hormuz must remain open to support the free flow of energy, and that President Xi made clear China's opposition to Iran charging tolls in the strait or having a nuclear weapon. The White House also said Xi expressed interest in purchasing more American oil. The Chinese readout says none of that. Now, to be fair, there is a vague reference at the end that says the two heads of state exchanged views on major international and regional issues, such as the situation in the Middle East. But that definitely does not say that President Xi agreed that the strait needs to be open or that Iran should not be allowed to charge tolls or have a nuclear weapon. Instead, the Chinese readout talked a lot about strengthening the relationship between the United States and China. But it's a little more vague about U.S. businesses operating in China. Interestingly enough, the Chinese readout put a whole paragraph in about how much President Trump heaped praise on President Xi, which we know for a fact happened because there's video of it. Here's part of it.
Such respect for China, the job you've done. You're a great leader. I say it to everybody. You're a great leader. Sometimes people don't like me saying it, but I say it anyway because it's true. I always say the truth.
But about that Taiwan warning and about the alleged Chinese comment that the U.S. is in decline, the Chinese readout emphasized that Xi warned President Trump that Taiwan is the most important issue in the U.S.-China relationship. The readout says if the issue is handled poorly, the two countries, meaning U.S. and China, will clash, pushing the entire China-U.S. relationship into a very dangerous situation. In case it's not clear to you, that absolutely is a politically charged warning. The White House readout does not mention Taiwan once, but later in the day, Secretary of State Marco Rubio was asked about this Chinese warning, and he said the U.S. policy on Taiwan has not changed. Lastly, about that alleged U.S. in decline comment. The fact is, those words do not appear once in the Chinese readout. President Xi did not say that. What he said, according to the Chinese readout, is that the United States and China should be careful not to fall into the Thucydides trap. That is a concept dating back to the Greeks, where a country starts to become more powerful and threatens to overtake the world's current top power, which often ends in war. In Xi's example, China would be the challenging country and the United States would be the existing global power. But it seems that President Trump interpreted that concept into President Xi saying the United States was in decline. On his social media page today, Trump said when President Xi very elegantly referred to the United States as a declining nation, he was referring to the tremendous damage we suffered during the 4 years of sleepy Joe Biden. President Xi was not referring to the incredible rise that the United States has displayed to the world during the 16 spectacular months of the Trump administration. President Xi and the Chinese readout said none of that. So if you want to read both of these readouts for yourself in full, I'm going to email them both out to you tonight, my Facts HQ email, so make sure you sign yourself up.